Hey everybody, it's LTM here. I'm at the Walmart right now, and I'm about to go and watch Bob Marley here in a little bit. Just to give you all a little bit of a background about Bob Marley, he was a songwriter and singer for some of the most popular songs in the world. You guys know these songs. If you grew up in the 70s and the 80s, it's likely you know who Bob Marley is. He Three Little Birds, Could This Be Love, or could this be something like that? Sun is Shining. A lot of familiar songs you're probably familiar with, but I think the one everybody remembers is Three Little Birds. So with this movie coming out, I will admit, growing up, I wasn't that big of a fan of Bob Marley growing up, at least until my teen years. When I started to appreciate music and stuff like that when growing up. I was in a marching band back in high school, so of course everybody knows. So I did grow a fascination with his music over time growing up, because sometimes you change, and I will admit I'm starting to appreciate Bob Marley's music. I love Three Little Birds and some of his other unknown songs. But anyways, it's no surprise that Hollywood will just have to try to make a biopic movie at some point, especially with Bohemian Rhapsody and Elvis already making game changes right now. And there's so many biopic movies right now based on musicians. I mean, it's nothing new, but Bohemian Rhapsody is the one movie that popularized it. So that's why we're getting some more of these. I mean, we're supposed to get a Michael Jackson movie sometime next year, so see how that turns out. So I'll give you all my thoughts on the movie when I come back. And this is LTM, and I'll see y'all later. Be right back. Hey everybody, it's LTM here. I just got back from watching Bob Marley, One Love. I stated in the beginning that I do like some of Bob Marley's music now. I did start to appreciate it over time. And going into this movie, I did see the critical reaction, and now the movie's not hated right now, but it's not loved either. A lot of people are split with this movie. So going into it, I did have low expectations going into it. I was like, okay, maybe this won't be horrible, but it's not going to be that great either. And when I got out, I actually was satisfied with the movie. Now, let me remind you, the movie's not great. It does have a couple of problems that keep me from loving it. But I don't see it as I don't see why critics are hating it as some of the critics are hating it as much as it's getting a lot of hate now. But I thought it was fine. It's not great, and it does have its problems, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. But basically, instead of talking about Bob Marley's origins, though there are a couple scenes where it does have that, a lot of it, most of the movie is just about Bob Marley and what happened when his house got assassinated by these two guys, and basically it's just him trying to deal with the cope of his wife, and stuff like that, and mostly just about him and his music career, a little bit of and that's it. Yeah, it felt shorter. The movie felt pretty short, but then again, now just so you know, we were the only ones in there, so we were having a ball just listening to the music and stuff, so that's pretty cool. So, with this movie, honestly, I thought it was fine. It's not great, but it's not awful either. Let's get to the good stuff first. I do like the music. It's really, really good. If you love Bob Marley, I think you're going to love the music in this. The music's pretty good, and they're well presented. And the other things I do like is that the guy who plays Bob Marley was not a bad choice. I think he did a really good job in his role. I think he's one of the actors from the Barbie movie, I think. I could be wrong. Excuse me. I do like the music in it, and the guy who plays Bob Marley's performance. And I do like the themes of the movie. You could tell there's some passion behind this movie. Like, the people that worked on this really wanted to try to hammer in that message of peace and love and all that sort of thing. With all that being said, there are a couple things that keep me away from loving it. Like, one of them was the short running time. Now, for a lot of biopics, if you know what these kind of movies are, you would think they would probably go deeper into Bob Marley's backstory, or at least where he came. Well, they tell you where he came from, but who he is and what he is, and they do that, but it feels very rushed. I wanted to get to know more about Bob Marley. I wanted to get to know more of his backstory, how he what really represents him about music and stuff like that. There's flashbacks here and there, but we don't get to have time to just get to know him, and that's why most of the characters in here feel, some of them are pretty weak. You know, like that's why like when I saw the trailer for this, I'm like, okay, so we finally get to see what was wrong with Bob Marley and what got him into what he was doing, and you get parts of that, but they're very rushed, especially the flashback scenes. Some scenes felt kind of weird and out of place. Like, I won't spoil too much what happens in this movie, but if you have seen it, it's the scene where he's at one of his concerts and it keeps showing the guy who shot his wife or something like that, and it felt weird, honestly. And I kind of get it because it shows you the emotional part of it, but it just felt out of place. And the story is just too conventional, guys. You've seen these cliches of biopics before. You've seen them in Whitney Houston. You've seen them in Bohemian Rhapsody, Elvis, Straight Outta Compton. If you've seen any of those movies, you know these biopic cliches already. But with that said, I think this movie did a little bit better than something like the Whitney Houston movie that came out a couple years back. Now, the Whitney Houston movie, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. This movie, as short as it is, and I wish they could have done more with it, but it does try to take some risk. Like, they were mentioning about the stuff with his toe, and while I wish that we would have gotten more of that, deep into that, they do present it in a very subtle way, and it's very nice and calm too. But overall, I could see why critics wouldn't like this, or at least some critics wouldn't. But then again, I don't see why everybody's mad at it either. Do I recommend Bob Marley? That's going to depend on your taste. If you like music or you're a huge Bob Marley fan, you will love this movie. If you're sick of these biopic movies already, because they're pretty much everywhere now, we're getting very few ones every year, then you're not going to dig this movie out. But for me, I thought I'm straight down the middle with this movie, so I enjoyed it fine. You got to be different to get into it. I give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's not great, and it does have its problems, but at least it tried. You could safely say I could tell the intent behind it. Alright guys, that's Bob Marley, One Love. What's your favorite musician? Please subscribe, comment below, let me know. This is LG signing out, I'll see you guys later.